everyone, my name is Chloe and welcome to another day of my 2024 favorites. So if you guys haven't been watching, I could not decide a cohesive list of favorites for 2024. I couldn't do my top 24 and 24 or anything like that. So I decided to make a video every day this week telling you different genres or classifications of my favorite books. So these are all books that I read in 2024, not necessarily that were published in 2024, and I am so excited to talk about these. So today is going to be my favorite nonfiction. So I love nonfiction. I love a good self-help book. I love a good memoir. There are so many that I love. And I read a fair amount of them last year, but I'm going to talk about the ones that have left a lasting impact on me and that have changed either the way I think about things or have really impacted my life. So this is going to be my top 8 because I was going to do top 5, but I've got a few more that I want to tell you about it. So let's just jump into it. So the first one is Doing It All. Stop Overfunctioning and Become the Mom and Person You're Meant to Be by Whitney Caceres, maybe. This is geared towards kind of working moms, but I could totally relate, and it could be relatable to literally anybody because it's about just all the balls you juggle and how to do it. And I would say this is one that definitely needs to be read in print. I have the audio arc, and so I want to go through it more because it is a very, very, very practical book about examining your values and making sure you're kind of living according to those. And she has times where it's not just hey, go journal about this. It's specific questions, list 5 words that you think of when you think of this. And now tell me how you're going to incorporate those 5 words. And it was a very, very practical guide to just making sure where you're spending your time and energy is where you value. Then we have What Kind of Woman by Kate Baer. So this is a book of poetry, so nonfiction-esque, because it's about what kind of woman you want to be. Again, from a teenager up to an adult, it's just the most, Kate Baer in general, I think I own everything she's written because her poetry, I'm not a poetry person, but I feel very seen in her poetry and it's very relatable, and I would highly recommend anything by Kate Baer, but What Kind of Woman was my favorite. I bought it and I tabbed quite a few different things. Then we have Risen Motherhood, Gospel Hope for Everyday Moments by Emily Jensen and, I didn't write the other author, but I will have a picture up. And this is from the people who do the podcast Risen Motherhood. And I actually read this twice in 2024, once by myself and once with a group of friends. And I will say that I loved the experience so much more reading it with friends. This is a ton of different, maybe 12 different areas of motherhood where we kind of struggle with things and what the Bible says about that aspect of motherhood and why, what happened, how it was originally created, what happened after the fall, and what will happen in the end. And it was just something really, really inspiring and thought-provoking, and about how we steward our time and also how we deal with overstimulation and all of the things that come with motherhood. And there's a chapter on birth trauma and just how and why those things happen. And yeah, it was very, very good. Then we have Love Your Kids Without Losing Yourself by Morgan Cutlip. So this one was probably the most profound motherhood book. They're not all motherhood books, but this one is all about kind of reparenting yourself and treating yourself like you want to treat your kids, and really there's 5 areas of checking in both with yourself and with your kids and making sure that you want them to know how loved they are and how important they are and how special they are. And it's okay for you to do those same things for yourself. And in fact, it's necessary because you've got to, fill your own cup before you can pour to others. And I loved the idea, and it was really healing for me. Then we have Matrescence on the Metamorphosis of Pregnancy, Childbirth, and Motherhood by Lucy Jones. So this one may be a little niche, and it may be because I was pregnant pretty much the entirety of 2024 and approaching birth near the end of the year. And this one was just it's commentary on motherhood and in the Western culture and how both with the physiological and psychological changes that happen. And there's a lot of interesting science around the babies and how they literally change your physiology, and yet how undervalued it is here in the Western culture, and how, you're expected just to pop back after 6 weeks or 8 weeks or 2 weeks or whatever. And it was really empowering. Then we have To Hell with the Hustle by Jefferson Bethke. So this is kind of along the same lines of trying to make sure you are being who you want to be as opposed to doing what you want to do. And it operates under the premise of like with goals and things to be 1% better, not to make smart goals that are achievable and that are pass fail, but instead to just do a little bit better every day and focus not on like my goals and what I want to do, but who I want to be every day. Who do I want to be every single day? And with all the decisions that I make throughout the day and how I spend my time and my money and my attention, is that getting me closer to who I want to be, or is it not? And if it's not, let's check it. So I thought it was really interesting, and I definitely learned a lot. And I think it was actually one of you guys that recommended it. Then we have A Life Impossible, Finding Peace and Wisdom Within a Fragile Existence by Steve Gleason. So this is a memoir about Steve Gleason, who has ALS. And it's both his experience. He was an NFL player who now is suffering from ALS, which is physically very debilitating. And so his mind is completely there, but he's not able to talk. He's not able to move. There's so much he's not able to do. And I thought it was really interesting. It's just a really raw portrayal, honestly. It is a very raw and honest portrayal that is really hard to read, but also really important to read. And it also talks about his wife's perspective and how his marriage can or cannot withstand this. And it's just a very real look at this situation and how we can deal with hardships. And then last is The Body Keeps the Score. And this is like a gospel book. It is like a textbook kind of thing for therapists and all of that. And yet I thought it was really accessible, and it is a big book, a long book, but it's about how trauma changes your physiology again. And I have made no secret that I am an anxiety sufferer, especially this postpartum time. And just I've had my third kiddo was 8 weeks early and had a lot of health issues. And so having another baby after experiencing that was a lot. And we've also had miscarriages and all the things. And so going through pregnancy this year was just an anxious year for me. And knowing that like that's not necessarily like it's not my fault, and it's not necessarily just the surface level like it seems, that there's physiological things within me that we can target and different modes of healing and all of that. And I again just thought it was so good. So those are my recommendations for the best nonfiction that I read this year. Like I said, I love to read nonfiction, and those aren't the only good ones that I read, but those are my very favorites or ones that have stuck with me. So let me know if you've read any of them and if there's any that you think I should pick up. And that's it. We'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.